Hey guys, so the season has been out for exactly 1 week and I have leveled my rogue quite a bit, and now I'm feeling quite comfortable to drop a guide video about my Rain of Arrows rogue build that I have been playing in the late game from level 80 to 95 right now. And actually, it's more like a hybrid build, so a hybrid between Poison Rogue and Rain of Arrows Rogue. And the reason for that is I wanted to make a build which I can use for speed farming with Rain of Arrows, but also I wanted to be quite strong against Uber bosses, so to kill Uber Duriel, for example, quite easily. And also sometimes like I'm a member in the Discord channel of Diablo, and sometimes there are guys asking for help. So then you join into a group, and then there are like 3 players at level 75, and they all die to Duriel, and then you need to carry a whole group and kill Duriel. So for that reason, I wanted to make a build which is capable of doing basically everything in the end game. So yeah, that's why I went for this hybrid. But nonetheless, it still works as a full Rain of Arrows build during Nightmare Dungeons. And also Helltide or other speed farming activities. And now I want to first show you some gameplay as usual and talk about my skill rotation and some things that you can, where you can pay attention to maximize the power of this build. So obviously the goal of Poison of Arrow is we see a huge pack of mobs, like elite pack or many monsters at once, and we just shoot our huge ultimate skill, the Rain of Arrows. They come down and everything basically dies, like you can see. And especially here I'm playing at a tier 75 Nightmare Dungeon, and in this video I was level 90, so I'm farming 40 levels above my my character level, and you can see it's still basically 1 or 2 shotting everything, so it's very powerful. So yeah, that was the goal, and I quite achieved it, I think. And yeah, well, how do I do my basic skill rotation? So yeah, like I just mentioned, obviously if you see a large group of enemies, you just shoot your arrows. But there are some things that you can keep in mind. So first of all, the big disadvantage of this build or this ultimate skill is that it needs some time to cast. So you can see casting of Rain of Arrows, it's about 1 or maybe even a bit more than 1 second casting time. So your character just stands still and you can't do nothing during this time. So especially when you cast your Rain of Arrows, you need to be sure that you're safe and you will not die to, like, maybe at higher Nightmare Dungeon tiers, the enemies deal quite some damage. So if you're standing in the center of an enemy group, it can be quite dangerous. So you need to care a bit about your positioning when you're playing this build in higher tiers. So what I sometimes do is I dash or evade from the enemies, and if I realize, okay, maybe it's a little bit dangerous staying here, I just move a little bit back, so I evade or dash backwards and then cast my Rain of Arrows. So like here you can see I go a little bit back and then cast it and everything dies in front of me. So sometimes you just need to be a little bit careful with your positioning, okay? So that's one thing. Another thing, evading is very important in this build. So this build only works because of 2 uniques. We have the amulet and the unique boots. I will show you later in the gear section. And the unique boots basically say that each time you evade through some enemies, you reduce your cooldown up to 10 seconds. So the times where I'm not casting my Rain of Arrows, I'm basically running around and casting or like evading through all big groups of enemies that I meet on the way. So you want to evade as much as possible, so you keep your cooldowns all the way down to at 0. So yeah, that's very important. And also, if you really want to maximize your damage, then you can also cast your Rain of Arrows, and immediately after you finish the casting animation, you evade through the enemies in front of you, so your evade will hit them before the first wave of arrows will hit them, basically. And what this does, it's because we're playing with the Metamorphosis Vampiric power, we wait a second, I can open another one. Because we're playing with Metamorphosis, we are infecting our enemies with the Vampiric curse. So that's the effect of Metamorphosis. And enemies that are affected by a Vampiric curse, so you can see this is this, the enemies have a red head above them. This means they are infected. And then they will take a lot more damage from our poison. And our rain of arrows is imbued with all imbuements at once. So poison plays a big role in damage dealing with this build. So it's very good to cast your rain of arrows, and immediately after the animation is finished, you just evade through the enemies in front of you to infect them with the Vampiric curse. So then they will take much more damage. So especially versus elite packs, this is quite helpful to quickly kill them. So yeah, that's another thing. And then basically, like I said, you just move through the map and evade as much as possible, keep your cooldowns down. You can also play this build without the unique boots, then you don't need to evade that much. So it's still possible. I also have a video for that case, so I played this build also before the boots. But after I found the boots, I have to say I can highly recommend you to first farm Uberduriel a bit and find the boots, because it just dramatically changes your gameplay experience. So for me at least, it's much more fun to play with the unique boots than without, but it's not mandatory, you could also play without. Okay, so another things. We are playing with the passive close quarters combat. This will also boost our damage by a lot, so basically it doubles our whole damage. And in order to get us to work, we need to cast a combination of puncture and twisting blades through the entire speedrun. So we are not casting it to deal damage, but more like to get our proc our passive. So each time we use a marksman skill and a cutthroat skill within a 8 seconds range window, we get this close quarters combat passive bonus, which we want to have active all the time. So yeah, that's you could also achieve this goal by just using dash and your ultimate skill, but it's a little bit more risky. I'd say that you will not have this passive activated all the time. So what I usually do is, except of evading for enemies, I use also my puncture and my twisting blades from time to time. And twisting blades also will reduce your ultimate cooldown further, because we are playing with the enhanced twisting blades, or I don't know exactly the name of the skill, I will show you later, but so we reduce our cooldowns by up to 2 seconds if our twisting blades cut through the enemies. So yeah, that's also something to keep in mind. So you always want your passive active. So yeah, just use your twisting blades or puncture sometimes. And in this dungeon, here all the enemies have the suppressor affix, like all the elite mags have suppressor on. So this is a special case here. So with suppressor, it's a bit more difficult to play this build, but actually all you have to do is just, like, you can cast your rain of arrows before the elite packs, but in the time the first wave arrives, the elite pack, you need to stay within this suppressor bubbles. And if you do that, then your rain of arrow will still damage them. Only exception is like here, if you have 2 elite packs standing next to each other and protecting each other, then that's the worst case for this build. But it happens not very often, it's very rare, I would say. So just stay within the suppressor bubble to still get damage through with your rain of arrows. So what else can I mention? Yeah, we use for bossing, like if we have a dungeon boss or obviously Uber bosses, that's why we also play with puncture in this build. So puncture is very good for poison damage and triggering bursting venoms aspect. So Puncture and Twisting Blades is kind of also our boss killer package. And for the speed farming part, just as I said, just use it from time to time to keep your passive active and also reduce some further cooldowns. We're also playing with the with preparation instead of combo points, so we also can reset all of our cooldowns after activating our ultimate skill, and also reduce the cooldown of our ultimate by using our core skill. So after 100 energy points spent with Twisting Blades, we also will reduce our ultimate skill. So yeah, this is basically the skill rotation, the gameplay. Just be a little bit careful with your position in higher nightmare tiers, like I said. You need to feel safe for this 1 second when you cast your Rain of Arrows. And now here's another boss fight. So with boss fights, you can obviously also use your Rain of Arrows in the beginning, but then you just rotate your Puncture and Poison and Twisting Blades. You can see I'm triggering quite quickly the Bursting Venoms aspect and spamming my Poison, and Poison with Twisting Blades is just enough to kill any boss quite quickly. So yeah, that was the gameplay here. And now I want to show you my skill tree. So we are playing with Puncture, just like I said, very good versus boss fights. We are applying Vulnerability and more Poison with some aspects. Then Twisting Blades, obviously with the advanced Twisting Blades, what I mentioned, so another 2 seconds cooldown reduction for ultimate. We have Sturdy for close damage reduction, Weapon Mastery for more damage. Then I'm playing with Methodical Dash because I'm playing with the aspect Quickening Fog I will show you later. So I'm automatically casting Smoke Grenade with each dash, so this should decrease my cooldown up to 4 seconds if it's not bugged. So that's why we are putting 1 point into Enhanced Smoke Grenade, so enemies affected by Smoke Grenade will take 25% more damage, and since we are casting it all the time with dash, it's quite effective here. Then 3 points into Exploit for more damage. And here comes the fun part. So since we are playing with Poison, with Rain of Arrows, and the unique amulet, so our Rain of Arrows will have all imbuements at once. So that's why we need to put 1 point into each imbuement, and then we will profit from the from all the effects of the imbuements. So each wave of Rain of Arrows will have all the imbuement effects at once. So this is what makes it very powerful and fun. So that's why we put 1 point into each of these imbuement skills, as you can see. The only exception is we put all 5 points into Poison imbuements, and this is our most important damage dealer, so we want to max out Poison. And we also put 3 points into Toxins for more damage reduction, and we put 3 points into Frigid Finesse for increased damage versus chilled and frozen enemies. And here 3 points into Precision for more critical strike chance. Critical strike chance, we just need this to trigger our blended Poison imbuement, and also to sometimes get critical strikes with the Rain of Arrows. So I had a small discussion in my last video about that, and blended Poison imbuement seems much better than mixed Poison imbuement. I have to agree on this one. So yeah, critical strike chance still very important in this game. Then obviously Rain of Arrows, and as always I like to put 3 points into Haste for more movement speed and attack speed. And here, Close Quarters Combat, as I mentioned, a very powerful passive for Rogue right now. So with this passive you will basically double up your entire damage. So you can see here my current damage increases above 100%. And for this passive, this is the reason why we want to maximize our damage versus crowd control bonus. So you will see in the gear section, I will show you that damage versus crowd control is a very important affix on your gear, which you want to maximize. So yeah, these are the skills. Now I can just quickly hover over my current gear. But I actually want to show you my the endgame gear, which is the perfect gear. I put it on my max roll planner, so I think I want to show you my max roll planner for this. But actually I can talk a bit about the aspects here. So On your crossbow, you want definitely to put the corruption aspect, so this will increase your imbuement skill potency by up to 80%, so this is your biggest damage multiplier for this build. Very good with poison imbuement, and especially with rain of arrows. And then we have kind of 3 packages of aspects in this build. So the first package is, let's talk about the rain of arrows package. Sorry. So here we have Word of Hakan. This item is mandatory, okay? So this unique amulet is mandatory for this build, since your Rain of Arrows will always be imbued with all imbuements at once after you equip this amulet. It's not too hard to find, I think, so maybe by level 60 or 70 it's realistic that you will find this one. If not, you can farm some Varshan, or I'm not sure which boss. One of the Uber bosses drops this. I think Grigor and the Beast, Ice Beast or something. So you can farm it there. And yeah, this item, you just need this to make this build work. So before that, you can't play this build, so it's more of an endgame build. And the other unique item, which is very good, it's not mandatory, but I can highly recommend to maybe wait until you find this. It just makes it more fun to me. So the flicker step allow you to reduce your active ultimate cooldowns by up to 10 seconds. So just like I mentioned, every time you evade through enemies, you will reduce your cooldowns. So after 2 evades, you basically reset your ultimate skills. So it's very, very powerful for this build. So yeah, these 2 items are kind of our Rain of Arrows package. And the rest of the items are more of a Poison Twisting Blades package. So we have aspect of Bursting Venoms, we have the Blade Dancers aspect, and we have the Pestilent Points aspect. So all of these 3 aspects are in this Poison Imbuement Twisting Blades package, which allows us to spam Puncture and Twisting Blades with Poison Imbuement all the time versus boss fights mostly, so Uber bosses or Nightmare Dungeon bosses. So with this package we are allowed to gain a significant high single target damage output, and with this aspect combination I also killed Duriel at level 80, so I also have a video for that on my YouTube channel I will show you later. So that's all you need basically to kill any Uber boss. And then I found from Duriel, I also found this unique ring. And this is also not needed, but it will also boost your damage by a lot, because with lucky hits you sometimes trigger some big explosions. So I noticed this explosion can reach about 600,000 to 1 million damage in my case. And I think this was 20 levels, like at level 80 or 85, I looked it up. So it was 600,000 to 1 million. So huge explosions here, but it's just a nice damage boost, but you can definitely play this build without this unique ring. And the other ring, actually this is goes also into this package I mentioned. So here we gain 9 energy every time we damage elite enemy. So bosses are also elite enemies. So with this aspect on the ring, you basically never run out of energy, so you can spam your Puncture and Twisting Blades combination all the time non-stop, and you can spam your poison very efficient with this aspect. So yeah, these are this package, poison package, then we have the ultimate package. And on our defensive gear, I just have some nice defensive aspects. So here on the helmet, I have Disobedience for more armor, very important for playing higher tier content. So Nightmare Dungeons from level 70, 80, 90, 100, something like this. Then Quickening Fogged aspect on my chest. So I drop automatically smoke grenades with each cast of dash. Very nice for additional damage and dazing enemies. And on my pants I have this might aspect, so I get 20% damage reduction for using basic skills. So that's another reason why you want to use your Puncture from time to time during speed farming also. And so when I will find my Harlequin crest, I hope I will just replace my helmet with Harlequin crest, and then I will put my Disobedience aspect on my pants, and then I'm fine. So yeah, these are my aspects. I will show you the perfect affixes and the prioritized affixes on your gear. I will show them you in a minute on my planner. But first, I will show you a bit my vampiric powers. So here I have Undying and Resilience as my defensive vampiric powers. So Undying is a non-brainer, you just get a lot of life leech with this, so a lot of healing. And with Resilience, I think this is quite underrepresented, so many people sleep on this one. If you have problems with fighting Uberduriel, for example, and you're just dying too much, Resilience is very good because it will give you a lot of damage reduction. So basically, for example, if you lose 80% of your life, you only have 20% of your life left, you will get about 40% damage reduction, so this is just massive, and you will die much less likely with this. So it's a very good defensive aspect, defensive vampiric power. Then for our Rain of Arrows build, we are playing with Anticipation, also kind of non-brainer, so we reduce our cooldown by 20% and also deal some more damage. And then we have a synergy between Flowing Veins and Metamorphosis. So if we put the Vampiric Curse on our enemies, we will deal 60% more damage over time to them. So our Poison imbuement will just deal much more damage. And that's the reason why you want to evade through the enemies in front of you just before the first wave of Rain of Arrows reaches them, because then you will just, with Metamorphosis, you will inflict them with Vampiric Curse, and then increase your damage by 60%. So this is the synergy here. And Metamorphosis is also just very good for this build, since we are spamming our evade all the time, basically, in order to reduce our ultimate skill. Skill cooldown. So yeah, we are also unstoppable all the time because we are spamming it, and yeah, very, very nice synergy. And just one trick, so if you are, let's say you have been speed farming or leveling during Nightmare Dungeons and Helltide with this build, and then you decide it's time to run some Uber runs, to do some Duriel runs or something, then you can just quickly switch Anticipation with Ravenous, and this will give you a huge attack speed bonus. So in my case, it's over 60%, and this will also help you with fighting Uber bosses quite significantly. So you can just quickly change these two. So yeah, it's very simple, and you can also switch from preparation to combo points and also deal a bit more damage with that. So that's how you turn this Rain of Arrows rogue into a single target DPS maximize boss killer build. So very quickly, very simple. So yeah, that's the trick here. And now I will show you the build on my planner. So here in my planner I put the optimized gear, which you want to have in the end game. So on weapons, basically you want to have yeah, actually I put all of the, like, you can check it out yourself also. I put the link in the description. You can check this out, and then you will see each affix on the items. It's already sorted by the priority. So Dexterity is our first priority on weapons, then damage versus crowd controlled enemies, then damage with ultimate skills, and then all stats. So this is the order, the priority order from top to down, and I made this basically for each item, I think. So also here on our defensive items like chest, we have total armor, then damage reduction to close, then damage reduction to distant, and the fourth attribute or affix, I would put in one resistance which you are lacking. So for example, cold and lightning. And the other ones you will maximize with your jewelry. So we put 2 green jewels into our rings to get poison resistance, and we put 1 red into our amulet for fire resistance. So yeah, you can check it out on my in the link in the description. But yeah, so these are your best affixes for weapons. The reason for that is, like I mentioned, we want to maximize crowd-controlled damage to crowd-control enemies, because this will scale with our passive. So you can see here with optimal gear, with optimal Paragon, you will have 150% damage increase with this build. So that's why you want to find as much as possible with that. And also ultimate skill damage is very important for another damage scaling in our Paragon board. But yeah, like I mentioned, you can check this out by yourself. And here just quickly hover over everything so you can get a quickly idea of what gear you should get. Okay, so let's now talk about the Paragon. For the Paragon board, actually I made two versions. So if you're just starting leveling, I made a general leveling Paragon board as a starting point. So because your glyphs will be level 1 if you reach the first Paragon, like if you reach level 50, then your glyphs obviously will be level 1. So that's why we need to take a bit of care into that. And so the first glyph you actually want to use is exploit. But since on the first board you can't get this bonus from the glyph since it's level 1, so you need to wait for your second board. So I put control glyph as my first glyph in the starting board. And here you can activate this effect because we have enough intelligence within this radius, even with level 1. So then we want to put our exploit glyph into our cheap shot board. The cheap shot board is the most important board for rogues because we have a big amount of damage versus crowd control here. So this will synergize with our passive very well. And here exploit also you can activate quite fast in this board. So yeah, second glyph exploit, very important to just proc vulnerable every time. So additional 20% multiplicative damage bonus after the recent patch. Then also cheap shot is quite good if you have some way to apply crowd control to enemies. So with rain of arrows, for example, or also if you find the penitent greaves quite early, so the unique boots which chill enemies around you, then this legendary note is very good for damage. So we basically take all of the rare notes in this board. It's just a very good board. And then we go into Eldritch Bounty and take this legendary node. So this will increase our damage by a lot since with Rain of Arrows we have 3 different imbuement elements, Poison, Cold and Shadow. And this one will increase our imbuement damage by 20% for each imbuement element, I believe. So this should be like triple damage. So I think this is one of the reasons why Rain of Arrows is so powerful and basically one-shots everything. And also this is very good for fighting Uber bosses like Uber Duriel, because you will increase your maximum resistance to poison by 3%. So this will help you a lot with surviving, and also you deal much more poison damage. And the fourth board is Tricks of the Trade. Here you also want to take this legendary node for more damage and put the versatility glyph also for more damage, and later you will get some armor and damage versus elites. So this is kind of your starting point, and after you have reached level 15 with your glyphs and you're about level 85 or 90, you can start and kind of respec or change the glyphs at least. So then I have this Endgame Paragon board here. You can also find it in the planner. And then I switch up some glyphs. So now after leveling up exploit, I can put exploit into the starting board. Then we put the control glyph into the cheap shot board and try to get all intelligence nodes on this board to maximize the damage. On the Eldritch Bounty, we want to get this rare node here, Ready Supply. This will give us access to more non-physical damage. And like with Eldritch Bounty, this works the same. So because we have 3 different damage elements at once with Rain of Arrows, this damage will get tripled. So this is basically not 20%, but 3 times 20%. So yeah, very good rare node here. And after Tricks of the Trade board, the last board is No Witness. And here we want the legendary node. So this is the second damage scaler. So 10% of our damage versus damage with ultimate skills will get transferred into this multiplicative damage bucket. And with optimal gear and everything, in my case, I will have 36% more multiplicative damage with ultimate skills, and basically also with Twisting Blades after using ultimate skill. So that's why we want to stack ultimate skill damage and damage versus crowd control. And here the last glyph is efficacy, so also very good glyph to increase our imbuement damage. And here's a little trick, just that you know, because of this rare node, you will get 23 intelligence after putting your efficacy glyph here. So you need only one intelligence node, and then it's just enough to activate this bonus effect. On the planner it says requirements not met, but this is just a small bug, and in the game it will work. So you just need this rare node and one intelligence node, and you will activate your efficacy glyph. So it's a little nice trick here on this No Witness board. Okay, so I think that's it. That was my build. So I can highly recommend you to farm Flicker Step first, as I said. So with level, I think maybe level 75 to 80, 85, you can start trying to kill Ubaduriel. If you have problems with that, just watch my Ubaduriel video here. I show you exactly how I'm able to easily kill Ubaduriel solo at level 80. And I also show you all of my gear and my skills and Paragon board. So I would suggest you to farm Ubaduriel to get this unique boots, the Flicker Step, and then this build is just much more fun and more powerful. But of course you can also play this build without the Flicker Step, and for that I also have a video here, my last video, Rain Rogue, and here I also play without Flicker Step. Or actually maybe I'm not sure, sorry, I think here I already also have, okay, I also have the Flicker Step here. I had another video, but I deleted it and replaced it with that one. Okay, but nonetheless, I hope you will have fun with this build. And maybe one last thing to mention, there was, like, Lucky Luciano has posted a video that Poison Rogue got nerfed in the latest patch, or I think it was from the beginning, Season 2. And some people are concerned that Poison is not as powerful as before. But I can tell you it's still very good, and you also can see this in my gameplay, I hope. And the only thing that has changed after the nerf is that we don't want to go for core skill damage anymore, and that's why yeah, I have a different priority of affixes now, which you can find in my planner. So nothing much to worry about. Okay, I hope that was enough. A huge guide again. And I hope you enjoy this build, have a lot of fun leveling and grinding some Ubaduriel runs with that. So see you in the next one, I guess, and have a nice day. Bye bye.